Guys, the Dark Fae Doom Tower rotation is by far the best Doom Tower rotation to farm, and the boss it's named after is the boss that you want to put all your boss farming silver keys into. If you don't know how to take this boss down, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do exactly that. Click my promo link in the description box below to get legendary nuker Karato, as well as hard carry epic support Tagoar free when you register your account using these steps. Here's exactly what you need to do. Step 1, log out of Plarium Play on your PC. This link will also work on your phone, but only if Raid has never been installed on that device at any point. Step 2, click the link in the description and register your account with a brand new email. Step 3, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Step 4, go to your inbox in-game and Karato will be waiting for you, eager to knock down enemy champions in the early game. As soon as your account hits level 15, epic support champion and reviver Tagoar will be waiting in the exact same location. These champions will turbocharge your account start in Raid, so don't delay. Click the link and register your account now. Shout out Kybrix. We're actually on his account. He is a longtime friend and member of my Discord. I'll take this opportunity to also shout out my Discord, link below in the description box. We'd love to have you. Actually pretty active in there, really cool raid players. You can see right here, level 86 account, Kybrix. The reason I'm on Kybrix account today is because I have a handful of legendaries or just generally like really good champions for Dark Fae, and I was slightly concerned that some people might watch the video who actually need help in Dark Fae and just immediately feel like I have felt as well watching certain content creators that are much more progressed than me and be like, dude, I can't build this team. So Kybrix actually, with a little bit of help from me, it was for sure mostly him, went and found a strategy that's the same basic fundamentals as mine, except that he's using different champions. And his champions, I would say, are very, very accessible, especially compared to mine. He's even gotten uncommon in here. And I'm sure any of you who have been watching raid content for a while recognize this one. He is, at minimum, probably an epic in disguise. He's a very, very, very exceptionally good uncommon. His name is Armiger. Armiger has turn meter decrease, which is why we want him for this. And on his A2, he actually has a block revive, which won't matter against this boss, and this scales off of enemy max HP. So as far as I remember, Kybrix is not using this skill at all against the boss. It does hit a little bit harder, I guess, on waves, so it's allowed to be turned on in the team presets for waves, but this guy is going to low-key be an MVP for constantly going in there with the A1 and decreasing turn meter by 30% on the boss. That's basically his role. Coldheart, again, I'm sure you guys are familiar with, but she also has some turn meter decrease for any of you who might just be using her for a hit because you have kind of a speed team. If you have enough accuracy, this can decrease the target's turn meter by 100%. I do believe that that's mitigated some. I don't think she can do Dark Fae by that much. Maybe she does Dark Fae by a solid 50%, maybe even 75%, but it's a huge turn meter drop with a big hit at the same time. MVP for this boss. Allure is actually the true MVP. I should have called Coldheart the MVP damage dealer for sure, because she has both aspects that we want, turn meter drop and enemy max HP damage. Allure is going to be the true MVP for this A1 3 times at random. Now once the boss is the only person left, this is going to be a 3-hitter on the boss, decreases target's turn meter by 25% on each crit. Now you just need to have your Allure and 100% crit damage. Kybrix's is actually built well enough that she can do some help with her A2. I clicked off of her, but let's go back and look at the A2. Little version of decreased defense and sleep, not guaranteed. The percentage chance to land is not 100, and obviously she has affinity. But this is a good skill for getting a little extra damage just so that you can kind of get up to the boss faster. You don't care about using this except for one very beginning stage at the boss, because if you didn't know this, the Dark Fae, one of her, if not her most unique mechanic, is that she clones your whole team right at the start of the round. So they're going to have all the masteries that you have, the exact gear you have. They're going to use default AI. They will not use any manual AI you potentially have set up in the team presets, or I should say the skill presets, but they are going to be like maybe, I don't know, 1 speed slower. So like your Deacon is guaranteed to go before your cloned Deacon that Astronix has assembled onto her own team, if that makes sense. I'll show you the run in just a second, but I just wanted to go over what the champions do. Deacon is great because he has a speed aura, and he has actually a turn meter move that both boosts his and his team's turn meter and decreases the other team, which in this situation is actually you guys, but your clones, as well as the boss at the same time, then grants an extra turn. The fact that this grants an extra turn makes him really phenomenally good. Honestly, I tried him out on my account, and I just ended up with another team that wasn't quite as good with turn meter as if it had Deacon, but it was better at killing the boss faster. And I'm not even as high in the Doom Tower right now as Kybrix, because Kybrix actually had Doom Tower keys from the Revival Pass. So Revival Path, excuse me. So he's been able to get higher than I am, and I'm not at the floor 80 boss yet. So we'll see as I get to floor 80 and floor 120 if Deacon works his way back into the team. But for now on 40, I found a quicker team with Lydia. We'll go over that at the end of the video. The fact that this grants an extra turn means that he then gets to go into his A2 and decrease everybody's defense. When he's booked is 100% chance, so the only thing you have is an affinity check. But the team's set up to be fairly safe as far as killing the clones, which is the primary thing you want to do right at the beginning. Even if he gets resisted or weak hits one of the magic affinity champions on the team, it will land on the boss as long as Deacon has enough accuracy, because the boss is void affinity. So that's super awesome. It'd be really actually a lot harder to find a good team if you were trying to judge against your clones as well as the boss being an affinity, but the boss is void, so that's perfectly fine. And then Leech here is actually nice. This is more of kind of like a mid game, or we're struggling to make, you know, it through the boss fight without getting beaten down because we don't have a healer because of the nature of how fighting Dark Fae works. You don't really have a slot to bring a healer, but this brings heals to any damage dealers that are going to be the most likely to have, you know, weak defense and weak HP. So he's just really, really fantastic for this role. Last person we'll talk about, Royal Guard. Very likely you've heard of him. He might have been in the game since release, but he's been in since very, very early on in Raid. He has a very good skill set for the boss as well. If we start with his A1, it has a 50 books to 65% chance of placing big decreased defense for 2 turns. That's great, and that's a pretty damn high chance. Then on his A2, he attacks all enemies. That can be situationally good, but in this case, he'll help with nuking a little bit. But the main reason we want an enemy max HP champion is because of his A3, which we'll talk about in a sec. And then this skill, hitting the boss, is still enemy max HP, even though, you know, as soon as you kill the clones, it's just the boss, so it's one target. It's fine. You can use AoE or single target then. Newt is really good in this role, and actually I have Newt on my team, but Kybrix does not have Newt, and some of you may not as well. This skill, maybe a little bit underrated, very good for this boss. Attacks 4 times at random, which is pretty high. Usually I feel like it's like 3 times at random. Attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 60 books to 75% chance of placing big decreased speed for 2 turns. Each hit also has a 75 after book chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 25%. So on your clones, if it hits, because I believe Kybrix has this set as the opening move Royal Guard does when the clones are first formed by Astronix. If it hits one of your clone champions, 25% turn meter. Boom. If it hits Astronix, she has some passive that mitigates that a little bit, and we'll talk about that in just one second, but it still decreases her turn meter as well. So this is just, again, no wasted space in this guy's skill set. Everybody on the team, actually, without exception, is doing some form of turn meter manipulation, and then we have people that are able to use multiple aspects of their kit that are all really good against the boss. Fantastic team, very, very good team at all levels. This one is very viable for Doom Tower Hard as well. The only thing then would be builds. So this, I believe Kybrix is on normal. Yes, so we're on normal. Keep that in mind. But the only thing that changes when you go to hard is, I mean, actually the champions that are on the stages change too. But the main thing that changes is tankier waves, a tankier boss, and higher speeds or accuracy resistance requirements. Let's look at the run. Okay, so we'll go over the skill presets. Right now, I'm just going to let it play out because I don't want to like bombard you with every single thing that's happening if you're not familiar, you know, with all these champions kits. But I will talk about the team preset when we get there, because you do want to have, you don't want to throw these champions in and run it on auto. You need the presets to be ready to go the way you need them. So skills off cooldown when you get to the boss right here. Okay, first step, she's going to clone. Now you need everybody to do what they're supposed to do. That's what Deacon's supposed to do. That's what, look, they're already almost dead. Boom, they're gone. Okay, now here comes the turn meter, more turn meter. Her turn meter is like so low. So she did actually get a turn. I apologize. And she stole 1 champion. That's typical because you have to be wicked lightning fast against the boss for whatever, you know, your count level is, either normal or hard Doom Tower, to not let her get 1 turn. But in this team, Kybrix only lets the boss get 1 turn, and that's plenty good because all she's going to do is grab that 1 champion, and then his team is set up to very easily kill the champion and then continue to drop the turn meter like this. Okay, so turn meter drop from Armiger, turn meter drop from Allure, turn meter drop from Cold Heart, more from Armiger, more from Allure. As you can see, like, it inches up and then it gets pushed back. When everybody gets, once Cold Heart gets her turn meter skill, and then Allure and Arbiter, it gets pushed way back. There's no chance that the boss gets a turn now, and then it's just, to be quite frank, a fairly quick team for level 80, and now it's just chipping the boss down because she's not. Boom. Actually, his best time ever. Maybe that's some CC luck. Thank you for letting me use your account, Kybrix, to showcase this team. But this is a great team, guys. I don't really feel like that I need to belabor that point anymore, but I will go in and talk about what the, after I click the right thing, what the skill presets are for this team, because it's important. Okay, I'm going to start on round 3 because that's the one you have to set up for. What you choose to do, as long as you don't mess up round 3 and as long as it's 100% chance to clear the waves, you can do whatever you want. Okay, so what I tried to do in helping Kybrix go through and optimize these skill presets was to get through the waves quicker, because why the hell would we not want to farm quicker rather than slower? So on round 3, Deacon needs to be able to access his ability right here, time compression, and this ability needs to be on 1 turn of cooldown, meaning it's almost up, or no turns is better. Obviously it's safer, but his AI is smart enough to run on auto. He will always do time compression first and then always follow it with sweeping retribution, as long as there's not a cooldown concern, like sweeping retribution somehow is on like a multiple turn cooldown because you messed it up in round 2. As long as that doesn't happen, his AI is very smart, which is good. It's a simple AI, so you would hope so, but you'd be surprised with some of the champions in raid. Cold Heart needs to open with Art of Pain, which is an AoE. One note, and Kybrix ran into this, is that if you're using your Cold Heart like this, meaning in Dark Fae, and you want to rely on her hitting her AoE on everybody, the traditional way to build her is only 70% crit rate, because this is her main skill. This is the main reason she's used, and it says has an extra 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit. So there's just no point when you're trying to build somebody as squishy as Cold Heart to also do enemy max HP damage with a lot of crit damage. There's no point to over crit cap her. And so this is the primary, if not the only skill most people care about. So they're willing to just go, well, 70% crit rate makes her easier to build. I can either add some HP so she survives a little bit better in teams that aren't, you know, a speed farm, or I can give her more crit damage and she hits harder. Up to the cap, you know, if you're over level 20 dungeons. But if you're using her like this, she actually needs 100%, because what you can have is obviously 30% chance to not crit using Art of Pain, and then that champion clone on the other team with Astronix survives and wrecks the whole thing. You really need to just boom, 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 you know, manipulate the turn meter, make sure that everyone on your side goes first, kill all the clones, and then get to work on the boss. You don't want to risk her having a 30%, which is really high, chance to not crit someone, then they survive, then they get a turn, and then it's off to the races of RNG, and that doesn't normally go well in our favor. Royal Guard's going to open with takedown, actually, so there's a chance, there's a chance if they really roll through wave 2 that this might not be available, but I for sure saw on a previous run, I don't remember if it was the run for this video for the recording, that he opened with hamstring and the team worked just fine. So his almost might not matter, but you can put this as the opener, which is what this flag symbol is if you're not familiar, and then everything is on auto after this is used as an opener. If it's not available as the opener, the team will still work. If it is available as the opener, it just makes it extra triple safe that he's going to take out anybody that somehow managed to survive of the cloned champions. Armiger, you just turn this skill off because you want to make sure that the team is safe, and the amount of enemy max HP damage he's going to do here is not worth risking the boss taking an extra turn, and then again introducing the potential to fail RNG. So this is the only skill you want him to use on the boss. Simple enough. That's round 3 is the boss. Then with Allure, we're going to open with this. This is important. So different than Royal Guard, she does need to open with this because her and Cold Heart just level the clone champions. If she doesn't open with this, then you're off to the races, because then you do have an issue with Royal Guard potentially not doing his AoE. As long as Cold Heart's guaranteed to do her AoE and Allure's guaranteed to do hers, with Kybrix's team and the amount of tankiness on the clones, because it matches his team exactly, he is able to just boom, boom, Cold Heart, Allure, whoever goes first, and make sure that they always die. So once you do that, meaning, the open with temptation, you want to turn temptation off so she doesn't use it anymore. Make sure Hellish Blaze is off, because the only thing you want is Psychic Whip. There's just no point not to leave Psychic Whip as the only skill after she opens with the AoE, because occasionally if the boss's turn meter gets really low, her AI will use Hellish Blaze, but the AI is obviously not accounting for, well, is Cold Heart's skill that drops turn meter on cooldown or blah, 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 whatever. So you just don't want to risk it. Again, don't play with RNG, just make it safe. Only Psychic Whip after you open with temptation. Then if we look at that and say, okay, that's where everybody needs to be for the third round, then we can backtrack. You don't really have to start in round 2. You can go back to round 1 and look at it and think about their cooldowns, have an idea of how quickly your champions kill the waves, because it may vary, right, between accounts depending on who you have nuking and what your builds are like, how strong they are for damage. In this one, I told him just don't have Deacon do anything here, because the fact that this gives him an extra turn makes it kind of difficult to, usually you would imagine Deacon comboing time compression into sweeping retribution, but you can't set 2 skills as an opener, or as like part 1 opener, part 2 opener. You can't do that. So there's no point for him to use anything here, because we need sweeping retribution on the next one, and time compression just doesn't really help you on wave 1. He handles wave 1 just fine. Then, as I said, because you can't do a part 1, part 2 for extra turn skills, go ahead and turn off time compression again on round 2 and have him open with this, but he'll get it back based on it taking a few turns for Kybrix's team to kill wave 2. I've never seen him not get sweeping retribution back for the boss, and since this was turned off, he actually has 1 turn of cushion, because let's say that there's still 2 turns left on sweeping retribution cooldown whenever they kill the wave. I don't think that that's possible with this team, but let's just say, right, worst case scenario, then when you switch to the boss, you automatically get 1 turn, because you've proceeded a turn to the next round. Then it's going to be on 1 turn cooldown, so it's not available, but that's okay, because time compression grants an extra turn. So it would be okay if you got to the boss in the clone wave even with 1 turn still remaining on this cooldown, because it's going to go time compression, extra turn, boom, sweeping retribution is now off cooldown, off to the races. Cold Heart, round 1, A2, opener, then turn off. Turn off Heartseeker. Just doesn't really make sense for her to hit 1 person with an enemy max HP hit when she could be hitting multiple people to just whittle the wave down faster. We don't need her killing 1 person faster. We need everybody hitting as many champions as possible to get through the waves. Round 2 for Cold Heart, nothing but the A1, which is like a 3 or 4 hitter at random, 4 at random. So it will hit multiple people. You can't really predict it, but the team is safe even so. Royal Guard, don't do anything but A1. The first wave is taken care of, I believe, by Allure. Do his A2 on the second wave. You could play with this depending on the power of your champions and how fast they are. You may not need this, but if you do use it, say opener and then turn off, so that there's no chance if it goes long that he uses it again, because it'd be more important to have it for the boss. Don't do hamstring, because we want him to have that available for the boss. Then Armiger can do whatever the hell he wants, because you're only going to use his default skill, which never goes on cooldown, at the boss. Allure cannot do whatever the hell she wants. She's going to open with the AoE just to speed things up, because she has plenty of turns to get it back before the boss. So on the first wave, getting that damage just makes you kind of carve through that first wave faster, and the higher you get, or if you're in Doom Tower Hard, the waves are tanky, so you do want to try to save time there where you can. She can use Hellish Blaze if she wants, but you could also turn that off and just have her only do Psychic Whip once she's done this 1 time. That would just make sure that she's always pushing back turn meter, makes it slightly safer. Again, your mileage may vary depending on the speed with how safe your run is, and you may have to make little extra tweaks like that. After that, again, we don't care if she uses Hellish Blaze, because we don't care about that cooldown. It's not useful on the boss, the 3rd level at all, but we do want her to turn off temptation so that there's no chance that it's not ready for the boss. Also, they get through the round 1 wave fast enough that it's usually not even ready to set as an opener for round 2. Then obviously she can pick between Psychic Whip and Hellish Blaze to get through that wave, and then we already talked about her on round 3. So that's it, guys. That's how you would set it up. Just real quick, one more time, I'll go through so you guys can see it. This is a lot of screenshots, but if you wanted a screenshot, you could. Nothing from Deacon but A1. Then round 2, open, and then nothing from Deacon. Then round 3, normal. Cold Heart, round 1, only the A2, but then don't use. So open, then don't use. Don't use Heartseeker. Don't use anything but A1. Open with the AoE, then priority 1 on Heartseeker. Royal Guard, nothing but A1, round 1. Open with Takedown, but then don't use. And don't use Hamstring on round 2. Then open with Takedown, but he may not, again, because of the cooldown. It's about a 4-turn cooldown, I think. Whether or not he's booked, it could be longer. But if he can open with it, and then after that, he can just do as he likes. Armiger, doesn't matter. It does matter on the 3rd. Turn off later rest for the boss. Then Allure, Round 1, open with Temptation, then don't use it. We never care about Hellish Blaze, except until you get to the boss, because then it's just useless. Don't use Temptation, probably also not available off cooldown. On wave 2, she can use either her A1 or A3, doesn't matter. And then turn off her A3, say open with the AoE, A2, then don't use, so that she's relegated after that opening move to just using Psychic Whip. That's the team, guys. Now, I'll let you look real quick also just to make sure this is in depth enough that I can help you guys get a concept of this team, you know, because my #1 complaint as a raid player when I watch videos is feeling like something wasn't adequately explained to me, or feeling like that you know, if I'm not able to build that exact team, I don't get the concept, or the concept wasn't illustrated enough for me to go build my own team. Hopefully I'm not committing that here. I'm really trying to show you guys the idea of how it works and the concept, so you could tweak different slots if you don't have these champions or whatever. But like I said, this is a pretty accessible team. You got a rare here. I know some people go like 2 years without a cold heart, but bear with me, right? Like, she's good. She's going to make it into videos. Deacon is an epic that's non-void. Royal Guard is an epic that's non-void. Everybody, guarantee, can get Armiger sooner or later because there's not that many uncommons, and you might be able to buy them from the damn market. And then Allure seems to be like Cold Heart in the sense that some people go a really long time without having her, but again, these bosses are difficult. You got to use the people you got to use. This is, I think, a fairly budget-friendly team. But Deacon is at 226 speed. His speed and his accuracy are all that matters for him. 376. That's actually overkill for the boss on 80, but needs a little bit more to do hard. Now, again, we're on normal, so it's way overkill for 80 on normal, but this accuracy would serve him up until right before the final boss on Doom Tower Hard. The speed would need to go way up for Doom Tower Hard. Cold Heart, 205 speed. That will work for normal. It's too slow for hard. Just be aware of that if you try to take the strategy, use it on hard. And then 289 accuracy is also probably overkill. That might be about right for the floor 120 boss on normal. 182 speed out of Royal Guard is fairly slow, but it works perfectly fine on normal. 287 accuracy is also probably, you know, right at, you know, final boss level accuracy. Armiger does need accuracy for the turn meter drop on his A1. He's at 203 speed with 303 accuracy, so again, should be good for all of Doom Tower normal. Then Allure is at 215 speed with 329 accuracy. Now, if you need people to go faster for the run to be safe, that's possible. This will not necessarily work even for Kybrix. We have to see once he gets to 120, he may have to make everyone faster. That's the thing. You're going to need to be a lot faster with some more accuracy, but mainly a lot more speed to do this on Doom Tower Hard. So use the Hell Hades stages tool to check what the stats are for the boss on the stage that you want to beat. Ideally, if you think you can beat all of Doom Tower Hard or normal, look at the top boss and build your team for that. I know there's not like a manual of saying, well, if you have this champion, you need to use exactly this speed to beat floor 120 Dark Fae, but you can look at the boss's speed and try to be as much faster than that as you can be. You for sure can't be slower because you do not want the boss to clone you and then go first. On top of it, it's just going to create mayhem and your team's going to wipe. Now that we've talked about that, I will show you my team, but I'm going to need a second to log out of Kybrix account. Thanks again, Kybrix. And hopefully it was helpful for you guys to see his team and to walk through it that way. Now we're going to go look at my team. Be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back on my account. This is floor 40 of the Dark Fae, Doom Tower Hard. This is the team I'm using right now. This team does not have 100% success rate. Actually, just failed for the first time recording this video earlier, so I'll go ahead and say that that's okay with me right now because my main goal is to get to 80 and then 120 and actually settle on my team for 120. But I wanted to show you because conceptually this team does work. The problem is that there's some RNG, and really, quite honestly, I need my people to be a bit faster, and I just don't want to reshuffle all the builds right now. So these champions would work, but they'd have to be really quick because this team does not have as much turn meter drop or manipulation as Kybrix team by comparison. But I'll show you the run. Basically, it's the same concept of you want to have the skills in the right order available off cooldown for the third round whenever you fight the boss and the clones. So as long as you have whatever setup you need to get through the first 2 rounds fastest, that allows you to have those appropriate skills available when you get to round 3 right away, ready to go, you can do whatever you want. I have Ninja doing his AoE here because he has the most damage for AoE on the team without any help from Lydia's debuffs, so that then Lydia can debuff this wave and everybody kind of more using their A1s will be able to kill this wave faster. Actually, you do have the AoE from Allure there because she'll get it back in time, but everybody else is really just, you know, poking them with A1s and the decreased defense, and we can make some much quicker to kill. I'm not really sure why the other RNG was so bad in the run before this, but it went away. I've never seen it go before, so I'll just give you guys the disclosure that it's not 100%. We do have a counterattack there from Ninja, so that's RNG based on his masteries. If you wanted to make the team really safe, you could ditch that. There you go. That's how it's supposed to go. That's how it's literally gone every time but once. But with this boss, guys, it's almost impossible unless you shoot the moon on things like speed or have teams in full masteries only for Dark Fae, builds only for Dark Fae. You're very careful what you take with Terminator manipulation so that you know every single variable. This boss is like technically not 100%. So you can get a really high win rate, and that's fine, especially because you're not like wasting energy. If you get defeated by the Dark Fae, it only wasted you time. So with the speed team, it's not that big of a deal, right? It doesn't use up your key. You just try again. But this kind of a situation for me, especially on the boss on floor 40, I could be honest with y'all, I don't really care if it's a perfect win rate as long as it's a really, really high win rate, because I don't want to go to the trouble of re-gearing champions and remastering champions and almost like isolating champions only for Dark Fae whenever I don't lose anything when I lose other than time, right? Like I said, you don't have a resource you lose, you don't use energy, you don't lose the Doom Tower key. Boom, there you go. That 203, 61 turns. This is how it's gone, like I said, every time but one. This team works as well. If you have this team, the way that it goes for me is Kimmy does A2 on the boss first. Then Lydia does decreased defense and weaken. Then Allure does her A1. But she could actually probably make it safer by doing her AoE. And I may actually tweak that because that may be the thing that puts it over that like 95% success rate. Then Newt does his AoE, which is his A2. It's okay. He's just adding damage to try to make the run safer. And then at that point, if nobody's procced any masteries or any weird shenanigans have happened, Ninja goes A3 AoE and just levels everybody. And then it's just Terminator manipulating the boss. Newt has a great max HP triple hitter to chew the boss's HP up real fast. I will show you what their stats are real quick. Oh, it might not let me. Okay. Can I go into a different boss then? I don't have any silver keys. Let's see. I think I can. It's going to be in here, right? Sorry about that. I didn't think about the fact that I couldn't show you if the boss. It won't let me click on the bosses if I'm going to battle it unless I have keys. At least that's what it looked like right there. So biggest thing, the accuracy requirements are 355 for like a 95% chance to land on the top floor of hard. So on boss at 120. So my accuracy should be fine on most of the people. The main thing I was trying to show you guys is speed, and this is how fast you have to be for the boss, because I'm telling you this team is almost like a little bit too slow. 305 is the fastest champion on Kimmy, 292 for Lydia, then Allure 284, then Newt 234, then Ninja 212. Okay, so any of these champions can be faster as long as they go in that order, and it just makes the run safer. But anyway, guys, that's my team. You got to see Kybrick's team. Tell me what you think. Farm the Dark Fae. I'll catch you in the next video.